Hey y'all, Leela with Miss Kiss Creations, and welcome back to my channel. Another video where I'm showing my face. Like, should this be the new norm or should I just cut this out and get right to it? If you've clicked on this video, then you have a lot of questions about UV DTF decals, and I'm here to answer them. I've been using UV DTF decals for about 4 years now, but a lot of people, they still send me messages asking, what are UV DTF decals? How do you apply them? What's that weird sticky thing that keeps coming off? And do I even seal them? Thankfully, in this video, I'll answer all of your questions. And if I happen to not answer your question, it's okay. You can always send me a direct message on any of my socials: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Lemon8. I think I covered them all. And if you don't know, I actually sell UV DTF decals on my website at misskisscreations.com. My website will be somewhere around here, and it'll also be linked in my description below. Go ahead and click that link and get your UV DTF decals. And I always run holiday specials and sales. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get started with this video. So let's answer the number one question: what are UV DTF decals, also known as UV direct to film decals or stickers? And just a heads up, decals and stickers, they are used in the same way. So if you hear me say decals or stickers, I am talking about the same thing. Basically, to print a UV DTF decal or sticker, you use a method using a UV printer, and the ink cures almost instantly. The decals are printed on these much thicker films, almost similar to either a thinner plastic or a very thick piece of vinyl. UV DTF decals are known for its vibrant, pigmented colors. You can see how crisp those lines are, how vibrant those colors are. There's no fading or anything when it comes to the UV printing. Also, we have these UV DTF decals where the backing is clear, but I also have seen UV DTF decals where the backing is not clear. Basically, it's the same thing. It's just the backing to this one has a paper, more thicker backing, but it is still a clear UV DTF decal. So when you place this on a surface, you will only see, sorry, I'm late, I didn't want to come, with all the designs. You will not see the white square around it. And I'll explain this in the video further. So now I will explain how to apply your UV DTF decals to your surfaces. Today I will be practicing on the 16-ounce plastic cups that I purchased from Amazon. They will be linked in my description below. These are perfect for beginners, and these are great for little stocking stuffers or little birthday gifts, goodie bags for teachers. I absolutely love these cups, and they do come with a straw. Even though I will be using my plastic tumbler for my demonstration, you can also place your UV DTF decals on multiple surfaces. You can place it on a clean stainless steel tumbler. You can place it on a tumbler that is already epoxied, sanded, and ready to go. You can place your decals on windows, on car windows, on desks, on laptops, on Kindle cases. There's so many options, phone cases. These decals are known to be so durable and they hold up so well. I will say, if you are placing these on your tumblers, you need to hand wash your tumblers. Do not place these decals in the dishwasher because the heat and the excessive moisture of the water from the dishwasher will cause your decals to either peel or fade over time. Another thing about these UV DTF decals is that they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. On my website, I do supply the single UV DTF decals and the 16-ounce cup wraps. So a cup wrap is basically a wrap for this tumbler that you see below. And they also have something called gang sheets, which is the sheet that you see with the donuts, and the coffee in the cup on my screen here. Basically is the similar design on one sheet. My absolute favorite thing about UV DTF decals are, although it is printed on one transfer piece, You can always cut your decals down and create either multiple designs, or you can place all of your decals together and make your own design. So my first tumbler, I'm going to just add a simple single UV DTF decal on the tumbler. And then my second tumbler example, I will cut the decals and I will show you that you can create multiple designs and place that all on one tumbler or surface. The decal that you see on the screen is a single UV DTF decal or a single decal. I will be placing this on the first tumbler that I show as an example, but before I place any decals on any surface, you want to make sure that you are using 91% alcohol and cleaning your surface very thoroughly. You want to remove any dusty, priming, oils, lotions, or anything that might be on your surface before you place your decal on. Because once your UV DTF decal is on that surface, there's no going back. Trust me. Before you apply your decal, make sure your 91% alcohol is completely dried. So I am going to show you a tip that I learned over the years. A lot of these decals come very nice, crisp, and clean edges. So it takes a while to take off the backing. What I've learned is if you take a pair of scissors and you cut off the end, any end that you like, make sure you do not cut the design, and then you have a place to peel that backing. So think of this decal as it is sandwiched between two pieces of backing. So I have to take off this backing, throw that to the side. Then I have the sticky piece that adheres to my surface. And how I place my single UV DTF decals is I place the center of the decal down first. I apply pressure to the center very slowly, and then I fan it out towards the ends of the decal. That way I avoid any bubbles that may be placed underneath that decal, creating a very not so good look. Once that is on, that's when you'll peel the front of the transfer piece out. So remember, the decal is basically sandwiched between a backing and the front protector. Okay, so that's how I like to remember how they come. And don't forget to take off the backing of the back and the front. Before you remove the backing, take a squeegee or even your hand, whatever you have on hand, even a credit card, and apply a lot of pressure to your decals. Now, if you notice, this decal has a clear backing, but this decal, every single letter on this decal is separate. They have their own separate sticker. So that means I could have cut the strawberry out if I only wanted to place the strawberry and nothing else. So just remember to apply a lot of pressure, because the smaller the print, the more pressure you need to adhere that to your surface or tumbler. Because if you don't apply a lot of pressure, when you go to peel up this protective backing on the front, it might peel that decal up if it's not adhered properly. So applying a lot of pressure is really key to these decals. Then I take my weeding tool or your finger. If you have nails like I don't, you can always take your finger and just peel that up very slowly. The way I peel this up is slow, and I do it at an angle. If you peel this up fast, your chances of ripping your decal is very high. So make sure you are doing it very slow. I wanted to do this in real time so you will get the gist of how slow I actually peel up this backing. And you can see how vibrant that decal is. Like I mentioned before, you can cut down your designs and add multiple stickers together and place it on one surface. I especially like to do this because I honestly don't know why. I want like 10 designs and on one tumbler or surface, so I tend to cut a lot of my decals down and I place them down individually rather than place in an entire 16-ounce cup wrap like this. down on a surface, or so on. While I place this on my tumbler, I am going to explain a lot of UV DTF tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. First and foremost, the tumblers that I am doing in this video, I will not be adding epoxy or any type of sealant over these tumblers. I plan on using these tumblers for myself, or these cups for myself, and I planned on just hand washing these cups. I have placed these cups with UV DTF decals into my dishwasher in the past to see how well the decals hold up with the heat and the water. And like I mentioned earlier, it does not hold up well. Not only do these cups not hold up well, but the decals, they fade quickly and they start peeling off of the tumbler. So I would not place any unsealed UV DTF cup in the dishwasher. And honestly, if you are using epoxy or non-toxic epoxy to make your tumblers, I always recommend to tell all of my customers or all of the other crafters to always hand wash your tumblers. So how does UV DTF decals work with epoxy? Again, I've been using these decals for 4 years and I've been using epoxy for 8 years. Whenever you place your decal, any decal on your tumbler, you have to seal it before applying epoxy. I've seen so many creators in the past saying that they love UV DTF decals because they don't have to seal it before they place epoxy over it. Unfortunately, with my personal experience, that has never worked in my favor. And let me tell you why. Anytime you place epoxy over vinyl, over a sticker, over this UV DTF decal, the epoxy makes that sticker or vinyl lift. You do not want any lifting whenever you're applying your epoxy over your vinyl or decals, because then you'll have a unfinished or uneven tumbler and you'll have to do a lot of sanding at the very end and a lot more coats of epoxy than what you originally planned to do. To avoid all of that sanding, all of that workout, and all of the hassle, all you have to do is seal your decals. Every single decal seal. I place a urethane sealer around the entire decal. So if you see that donuts cup, the heart, I place it over top it. It does not fade the design or anything. I place that all around the sticker or the decal. I let that dry for about 15 to 20 minutes. Make sure that urethane sealer is completely dried, and then I'll go to epoxy. Another thing that I have struggled with in the past while using epoxy with UV DTF decals is a lot of times the epoxy will repel around the decals, and what I think it is my hands touching the decal so much. So what I did was I try to take alcohol and clean the decal before I place epoxy over it, but then it would just fade the design. So to save you all the headache that I have suffered from in the past, just take a urethane sealer. I will have 2 linked in my description below. I have a name brand one that I use so often in my videos, and then I have a very, very affordable one that is like $5 that a lot of people use as hacks. Seal that, seal the decals, let the sealer dry. Make sure it is completely dried for 15-25 minutes, a thin coat, then you place your epoxy over. Trust me, if you do not place your epoxy over your sealed decals, you're going to have troubles in the end. You want a very flat and even surface, and epoxy is so stubborn. If you are using non-toxic epoxy, you do not have to seal your decal at all. You place your UV DTF decal on your tumbler or surface, and then immediately go in with your non-toxic epoxy. Another thing that I mentioned previously, and I want to touch on this, is that these decals are permanent times 10. So when you think of permanent vinyl, think of permanent vinyl times 100. Once these decals are stuck to your surface and you think that you have misplaced your decal or it's crooked, there is no going back. In order to remove these decals, what I personally do is I take a razor blade and I have to scrape the surface underneath the sticker and just rub off the decal as much as I can. Then I take my 91% alcohol and I wipe away the area to remove any of that residue or adhesive that may have been left behind. So just know, once you place this decal on your surface, that decal is stuck. So make sure you do it and very much so confidence, there is no going back. Another issue that people have messaged me about are bubbles. The very one way that I avoid bubbles is I just place my decal on very slowly and I press on very hard, if that makes sense. So if you see me placing these decals on this tumbler and this video, I either start from the very end and I roll the decal onto the surface, or like you saw on my single decal, I start in the very middle and then I roll to the ends and then roll to the other end and I press very hard. If you do not press down and do the roll, then the likelihood of air bubbles getting stuck underneath your decal is very high. If you do have air bubbles, it is entirely okay. All you have to do is take the very end of a sharp blade. I usually use my X-Acto knife and I poke the tiniest hole into the decal. Once I have the tiniest hole poked, I take my squeegee and I apply pressure. Basically, you're popping the hole and then you're pushing both of the decal pieces together to kind of camouflage that slit or hole. So it's unfortunately like popping a pimple in a way, but then you're trying to sew or patch up that hole once you then apply pressure back to the hole. So make sure you're not adding a very big cut or slit into the decal, but if there are some holes, you can just even take a pin, a very small needle or anything that you can make a very small air hole and then apply pressure to release the air from underneath the sticker and then kind of push it together, the decal together, and therefore it patches those stickers together and so you cannot see those air holes any longer. I know that was a lot of information, but those are the questions that I typically get from comments, private messages, or emails, and I am trying to answer them all. So just remember, as you see on the screen, I am just removing the backing from the sandwich decal, applying that adhesive decal onto the surface, rubbing, making sure you're applying a lot of pressure so those spots are very adhered to the surface, and then removing that top transfer. It is that simple. A lot of companies sell UV DTF decals, including myself. I will have my website linked in the description below. I will have all of these materials linked, and I'll even have other websites linked where you want to purchase other UV DTF decals. They are such an easy way to create life to your projects, and it's so inexpensive, and it's really not that hard to do or place. And here are my two final cups for this video. Again, I will not be placing any epoxy or sealants over these cups. I will be using these every single day for my iced coffee. These projects are so fun to do. They're great for gifts for the holidays. Even kids can place stickers on cups or mugs or really anything that you find at a cheap rate. So just keep that in mind, especially with the holidays coming up. I hope I answered all of the questions that I typically get, and if I didn't answer your question, please leave me a comment below so I can answer it and so other people might be able to learn from it. And if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tumbler and craft videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.